Hey there guys, we're taking a look at Rainbow Six Siege running on the Intel i5-1235U. Now the game is currently running at 1080p but with the lowest in-game graphics settings, which actually set the target resolution to 50%. So this is actually running at 100% resolution before we actually let the temporal anti-aliasing do some work here. So at the default setting at the stock 1080p, it is a completely unplayable experience, specifically because those 1% lows drop so low that overall it's going to make the experience of trying to actually play like this very rough, considering it is a competitive first-person shooter. So unless you're just going to be playing terrorist hunt, you're going to run into issues trying to play like this. Now of course we can try to boost the performance by just letting the game actually drop the in-game resolution with the temporal upscaling, and you'll see that once we enable that, we see a nice bump in both the averages and the 1% lows. So now we are running at pretty much 50% of 1080p here, and while visually it actually does not look that bad, the level of performance that we're getting here is leagues better, and it is now going to be a much more playable experience, especially because the 1% lows aren't dipping down into a range that is going to be completely unplayable. A 1% low of 42 when your average is 52 pretty much means that you're going to have about as smooth of an experience as you possibly can without hitting some pretty high averages here. Unfortunately, it really seems like the 80EU version of the Iris Xe cannot provide enough of an FPS here to actually give us a high refresh rate experience, and it's really struggling to even give us a 60 FPS average. So averages of 50 are going to be more than playable, but it's not the most ideal, and it really shows the limitations of the cut down version of the Iris Xe. The 96EU version is really going to be necessary to squeeze out any more performance than this. Now jumping into an actual game of terrorist hunt to see what the performance is like, you can actually see what the difference is between actually playing the game and just running the built-in benchmark. And you'll see that at 1080p with the lowest in-game settings, which set the target resolution to 50%, we're struggling here while actually playing the game. And it really seems like overall the level of performance that we're getting out of this right now is just not going to be great. Even with the temporal upscaling, we're still running into performance issues here that overall make the experience of trying to play like this pretty much impossible. It is really not a doable thing. So the benchmark was very misleading. It made it seem like we were actually going to be getting some decent numbers here, but once we actually load into the game and start playing, it really is not like that at all. In fact, we have to drop the pretty much in-game target resolution to 720p with the temporal upscaling setting to 50% of that to actually get some decent numbers. Once we do that, the level of performance that we're actually getting out of this is very decent, though we are now running at a very low resolution. You can still see that the 1% lows that we're getting are significantly better, and the averages are pretty fantastic, and overall this is a much better experience, but we are running at pretty much 50% of 720p at this point. So we're running this at an extremely low resolution. Though it does not look as bad as you would expect it to, it does become a lot rougher to really understand what you're looking at on the screen sometimes, just because it's all running at such a low resolution. And it's unfortunate that this is what needs to be done to be able to make this a much more playable experience, but overall I would really just suggest maybe don't play this game on this chip. It might just be a little too demanding, but if you're willing to put up with this low of a resolution, then you are more than welcome to go ahead and do that. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.